going to manually vacuum your pool, which you absolutely can do, there are some fantastic products available to vacuum for you. But sometimes, either at the beginning of the season because you'd like to waste some of the water, maybe you're opening a pool with a safety cover, you want to go ahead and be able to lift some of that debris off the bottom of the pool. Manually vacuuming is going to be something that you'll do. Of course, if you're hiring a pool company to do your opening or your closing for you, that's something that they can typically take care of as long as you've indicated you'd like that service. But in the event that you'd like to vacuum your own pool, I'll go through the equipment that you need and how to set everything up together. So typically you have some type of a universal pole. They come in different lengths, different colors. They have holes in the bottom of the pole so that you can interchange your equipment. You can put a leaf net on there, a skimmer net, a brush, and in this case a vac head. Vacuum heads come in two different styles typically, one for vinyl liner pools and one for gunite pools. The vinyl liner pool vac heads are typically in some kind of a triangle or maybe a rectangle shape, and there's typically brushes on the bottom so that you can brush the vinyl liner as you're vacuuming. The difference between a vinyl vac head and a gunite is the gunite typically runs on wheels, and there is no brush on the bottom. So it actually gets a lot closer to the surface of the gunite, which is okay. I wouldn't recommend using a gunite vac head on a vinyl pool because if you have no way of holding kind of the liner in place as you're vacuuming and your suction, if it were too strong, you can actually kind of suck the vinyl liner up off of the bottom of the pool, which would be a very bad idea. So make sure that you're using a vinyl vac head if you have a vinyl liner pool, which in this case is what we have. So to set up the equipment itself, I need the vac head and the pole, and I will put it together, clip it in place, and then I will attach the vacuum hose to the vac head. To vacuum a vinyl liner pool, you will need a vacuum hose in addition to your vac head and the pole. The hose itself is typically 1.5 inches wide. 1.25 inch hose is sold. That's typically for an above ground system because this 1.5 inches is what most residential pools are plumbed in, unless you have a really exciting system and you needed bigger plumbing, which, you know, could happen. In general though, you'll need 1.5 inch hose. A vac hose has two ends. One end does not swivel, the other one does swivel. It's important that the end that does swivel is put onto the vac head itself, because when you're maneuvering around in the bottom of the pool, you need for it to be able to move. Another important thing is when you're vacuuming, if you happen to lift the vac head close to the surface of the water, you never lift it all the way out when you're vacuuming, but if you lift it up close to the surface and you get some water inside of that swivel part, it can cause your system to lose prime. In general, not a great idea, not helpful to you, so make sure that the swivel end is on the vac head itself. When you're putting the hose into the water, you do have to fill the hose up entirely with water in order for this to work. So you'll attach the swivel end to the end of your vac hose and then you'll put the hose into the pool. Vac hoses are notoriously not fun to work with. The little trick is if you spread it across the length of the pool before you try to put it in the water, you'll have less kinks and coils to deal with. So in general, that's what I would recommend. To get your hose primed, basically I'm going to attach the end to the bottom of my vac head, and then I'm going to put my vac head and hose into the pool. From there, you need to hang on to your pole and feed the hose down into the pool. And you do this for the entire length of your hose, whether it is 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet, or longer. And once you get it to the end, as long as you've done it right, you'll see water coming up the end of the hose, which means that you've gotten the water in there and you should be all set. So as you are priming your hose and putting it together, feeding it into the water, if you have done it properly, you will actually see water come out of the top of your hose. So congratulations, we've made this work. The end of the hose that is now full of water, in order to vacuum, is going to be fed. Typically you can do it through the front of the skimmer, or you can take it up over the patio. It's easier to put it through because it stays completely underwater. So you'll take your lid off of your skimmer, pull out your basket. Now is a good time to clean the basket. And there is a hole in the bottom of the skimmer which you will feed the end of the vacuum hose into. There are attachments that you can buy so that you can buy a vac head attachment that you would actually screw into the bottom of your skimmer so you can attach the hose directly to that. Or you can get something called a vac plate, which would allow you to leave the basket inside of your skimmer. You put the vac plate on top and you hook the vac hose onto the vac plate. However you do that is right for your system. In this case, we are just going to go ahead and feed the hose through the front of the skimmer into the skimmer itself, find the hole in the bottom, and go ahead and hook that up. You'll want to listen to your pool equipment while you do this. Sometimes if you had a little bit of air in your vac hose, you'll hear the pump lose prime for just a minute, and then you'll hear it put its prime back to full prime, and you should be good to vacuum. While you're vacuuming, you want to pay attention to what the jets are doing in the pool. If you start to see diminished water flow, it might be time to backwash or clean the system out while